Isolated from her entertainer spouse, Hollywood entertainer Chris McNeil and her youngster girl Reagan are in Washington, D.C., where Chris is on a lengthy area go for a film called Compress Lesson. They have leased a brownstone in Georgetown as a spot to reside during the shoot, after which Chris plans to take Reagan to Europe until their new house in Los Angeles is built. Chris ceaselessly hears commotions around midnight radiating from the upper room, which she accepts for the time being that is just a little pervasion of rodents. Simultaneously, Reagan, who had been a balanced youngster, is giving intermittent indications of surprising way of behaving, like hyperactivity, swearing, lying and absence of focus. The GP, Dr. Klein, who can deduce the side effects are an indication of stress from the detachment and impermanent move to DC away from her home, analyze her condition, exclusively founded on the side effects, as hyperkinesia. Regardless of Dr. Klein and different doctors attempting to decide and make sense of Reagan's undeniably unusual and odd way of behaving with logical speculations, Chris starts to accept that there is more impacting everything, particularly as Reagan's way of behaving eventually incorporates brutality and demonstrations of godlike strength, which must be named other common which Reagan herself could never have straightforwardly caused all alone, for example, the rodent-less commotions in the storage room. In spite of having no strict convictions, Chris is persuaded that since there is some other common power overwhelming Reagan, a strategy is to have that power, the devil, exorcised from Reagan's being. Who gets in touch with her is Father Damien Karras, likewise a MD who goes about as a mental guide for the Catholic Church, who Chris for reasons unknown had been attracted to as an individual she has found in the area. Father Karras is confronting his own emergency of confidence upon the new passing of his mom. He wants not just the consent of the congregation to continue yet additionally his own confidence that anything he wills help instead of harmed Reagan. Who the congregation likewise sends is Father Lancaster Marin, who might have a superior comprehension of what has had Reagan and why it has picked her, which is important to have the option to battle it. The inquiries become whether Fathers Marin and Karras have a sufficient confidence to exorcise the evil presence and how they will accomplish their main goal. When a teenage girl is possessed by a mysterious entity, her mother seeks the help of two priests to save her daughter. A visiting actress in Washington, D.C., notices dramatic and dangerous changes in the behavior and physical makeup of her 12-year-old daughter. Meanwhile, a young priest at nearby Georgetown University begins to doubt his faith while dealing with his mother's terminal sickness. And, bookending the story, a frail, elderly priest recognizes the necessity for a showdown with an old demonic enemy. More and more, Reagan, the otherwise happy 12-year-old daughter of the successful actress, Chris McNeil, is showing signs of erratic and disturbing behavior after an ill-advised contact with the supernatural. As a result, as the situation is rapidly getting out of hand, with perfectly healthy Reagan becoming increasingly violent and obscene, desperate Chris is willing to do everything in her power to keep her child safe, including seeking spiritual help. Now, Chris' only hope rests on the inexperienced Greek-American Catholic priest, Father Damien Karras, and the weary exorcist, Father Lancaster Marin, to perform the intricate purification rite that will rid Reagan of the malevolent spirit that is tormenting her. But, can they confront the embodiment of evil? Accompanied by her 12-year-old daughter Reagan, actress Chris McNeil relocates to Washington, D.C., where she is filming a movie. Mother and daughter have a good relationship, but after a time Reagan begins to act strangely. She undergoes various neurological tests, but doctors can find nothing to explain her behavior. As Reagan's situation reaches crisis proportions, she has to be tied to her bed, swears like a sailor and speaks in tongues. Chris turns to Father Karras, a Roman Catholic priest and psychiatrist, to see if an exorcism might be the solution to their problem. Karras is incredulous, but the church eventually agrees, calling in Father Marin, who has previously conducted an exorcism and come face to face with the devil. A movie actress taking up temporary residence in Washington, D.C. has her troubles. The script for the movie she's filming seems inadequate. Her ex, who is also the father of her adolescent daughter, Reagan, neglects to call the girl on her birthday. And the attic has rats. Meanwhile, Father Karras, a priest and a psychiatrist, is losing his faith, and he's dealing with a sick mother who needs medical care he hasn't the money to provide. Another priest, the old and ailing Father Marin, has just returned from Iraq with forebodings of evil. These three persons meet when the sweet and cheerful Reagan turns foul-mouthed and violent. But her sickness is beyond the reach of a medical doctor or a psychiatrist. What Reagan needs is an exorcist.